In the winter of 1643, a dying man handed his son two things: a short sword and a name. The sword had belonged to the boy's grandfather. The name belonged to the man who killed him. "You know what to do," the father said. Then he died. The boy was 19. His grandfather had died the same way, holding the same kind of sword, chasing the same kind of name. So had his great-grandfather. 4 generations, each one handed a blade and a grievance, and buried young. The village had a word for them: cursed. Here is what nobody understood. The enemy family was doing the exact same thing, burying their own sons on the same schedule, for the same reason. The curse was not the enemy. The curse was the sword itself, passed from a cold hand into a warm one, each generation certain that this time the killing would end the killing. It never did. Killing does not end a thing like that. It feeds it. There is an old rule for this, and almost nobody wants it. A curse does not end when you defeat it. It ends when one person holds the full weight of it and refuses to hand it to the next person in line. Holding it is agony. You have a curse too, not a sword. Maybe a temper that arrives before you can catch it. Maybe the way you go cold the moment someone gets close. Maybe a voice in your head that criticizes everything you do in a tone you would know anywhere, because it is your mother's or your father's, almost word for word. You did not choose it. It was handed to you before you were old enough to refuse, and right now, you are handing it to someone else. So the question is simple and uncomfortable. Are you willing to be the one where it stops? Before we go on, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing how far this story travels. And if you're loving it so far, join the family by hitting subscribe, because tomorrow, we've got something special lined up just for you. Daniel Reyes was 34, and last Tuesday, he watched himself become his father. It happened in 4 seconds. His son Leo, 5 years old, knocked a full glass of juice across a table Daniel had just cleaned. Before Daniel decided anything, his own voice came out low and flat and sharp. He watched Leo's face flinch, shoulders climbing, eyes going careful. Daniel knew that flinch from the inside. It was his own face, at that exact age, at a table just like that one. His father had never hit him. There were no bruises. There was just the cold, the approval that sat 1 inch out of reach his whole childhood. His grandfather, by every account, had been the same. Daniel had sworn he would be different. For a while he was. Then the job got heavier, the money tighter, the sleep shorter, and the old voice came up out of his throat like it had been waiting in a back room the whole time. He bought the parenting books. Every Monday he woke with a clean plan. Every Friday, there was another 4-second moment he was not proud of. He could see the pattern with total clarity, and he could not stop it. That was the part eating him alive. 2 weeks later, Daniel did something he could not explain. Instead of driving home, he walked, and 3 streets from a bus stop he had used for years, he noticed a door he had never once seen. A narrow storefront, no sign, just the smell of soil and cut green wood. Inside were bonsai, hundreds of them, and behind a work table, an old man leaned close to one with tiny shears. His name was Haruto Sato, in his 70s, second-generation Japanese-American, small and unhurried. Daniel asked about the tree in his hands. 240 years old, Haruto said. In his family 5 generations. He pointed to a violent twist low on the trunk, healed over but permanent. My great-grandfather made that cut, he said. He was young. He was in a hurry. Daniel asked if he'd thought about fixing it. Haruto almost smiled. I cannot undo my great-grandfather's cut. It will be in this tree as long as the tree lives. But I decide what grows from it. Daniel heard his own mouth ask if the old man taught anyone. Saturday, Haruto said. 7 in the morning. Before that first Saturday, it helps to know the curse is not only a feeling. Rachel Yehuda, at Mount Sinai, found that children of trauma survivors often carry a nervous system tuned for danger before they've lived any danger of their own. Michael Meany, at McGill, found that rat pups raised by low-nurturing mothers grew up more anxious and became low-nurturing mothers themselves, passing the pattern on without a single gene sequence changing, through what one nervous system quietly does to the small one beside it, before a word is spoken. But the same machinery that writes the pattern can rewrite it. Bessel van der Kolk spent his career proving a body shaped by the past is not sentenced to it. The curse is inherited. It is not permanent. The only question is whether someone chooses to interrupt it. Daniel arrived at 6:58. Haruto was already there, coffee made, and on the table a young seedling, leaning hard toward the window and the light. "Straighten it," Haruto said, and handed him nothing. Daniel reached to bend it upright. Haruto stopped his hand without touching it, just a word. "No. If you force it straight today, it snaps. It has grown crooked a long time. Crooked is what it knows. You make one small cut, then you wait. Next season, a little more. You guide it. You do not wrench it." "How long?" Daniel asked. "Longer than you want," Haruto said, and went back to his work. For about 40 minutes Daniel worked, and for the last 30 his mind was already leaving. "This is not it," the voice said. "This is a man and some plants. What you need is a real fix, a grand apology, something that solves it." He set the shears down and started to say, gently, that maybe this was not what he was looking for. Haruto did not look up. "You have been here 40 minutes, he said. "It took 3 generations to grow the thing you came here about. What did you expect the tree to do today? There was no cruelty in it. It was laid on the table plainly, the way you report the weather. For the first time in Daniel's adult life, someone had named the exact shape of the thing he did, wanting to leave because it did not fix fast. He had a graveyard of abandoned projects behind him, and everyone had died at this precise moment, the moment the effort started, and the reward did not. He picked the shears back up. He stayed another hour. That night, Leo knocked something else over. Daniel felt the charge, the old voice loading in his throat, his jaw tightening, his chest going hot, and for the first time, he caught it before it left his mouth. He said nothing. He held it, and holding it was physical, a real pressure behind the ribs, a body demanding to discharge and being told to wait, but he held it. Then he knelt and helped Leo clean it up, and his voice, when it came, was his own. Weeks turned into a season, and one Saturday Haruto gave Daniel a word for what he had been doing at that table. Gaman. It means to endure something that feels unbearable, with patience and dignity. Not the clenched teeth of a man about to explode. Not swallowing it, and going cold, which is only the curse in a quieter mask. Something harder than either. Staying fully present inside the discomfort, feeling the whole weight of it, and neither passing it on nor collapsing under it. The samurai did not train gaman to look strong, Haruto said. They trained it because a warrior who lets out every impulse the instant he feels it is a danger to everyone near him, especially the people he loves. A sword that draws itself is not a weapon, it is a wound, looking for somewhere to happen. That is the whole engine of a generational curse. It transmits the instant you discharge it. The father who feels shame hands it down as contempt. The mother who feels fear hands it down as control. The charge does not vanish when you release it onto your child. It changes owners, jumping to the smallest, nearest, most trusting nervous system in the room, and waits 30 years to be handed down again. Gaman is the wall where the current stops. You take the full charge and refuse to conduct it forward. It may be the hardest thing a person can do, because your body was built to get rid of it, and the easiest place to put it is always someone who cannot fight back. The amygdala fires long before the reasoning part of you gets a vote, and letting the charge out gives an immediate hit of relief. A worn-down nervous system is always looking for a ground wire, and the child in front of you is the path of least resistance. Here is the part that should stop you cold. Children do not learn your values. They learn your nervous system. The mirror neuron research out of Giacomo Rizzolatti's lab means a small child is not absorbing the calm things you say about staying calm. He is absorbing what your face does under pressure, what your voice does when the glass breaks. He learns the pattern by watching it run, long before he has words for it. This is how the curse copies itself, not through instruction, but through demonstration, which means gaman, held one single time in front of a watching child, does more than teach. It breaks the copy. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Months in, Daniel snapped. Not a small thing, a real one. A brutal week, no sleep, a bad call from his boss, and Leo at the wrong moment, doing something loud. Daniel came down on him hard, in the full, cold voice, and watched the flinch, and it was worse than it had ever been, because now he knew better. The old voice was ready for exactly this. See, it said, warm and reasonable. You are him. You will always be him. It is in your blood. A real scientist said so. Stop pretending you can prune your way out of what you are. Go back to what you always do. Quit. Start over somewhere clean. Except there was no somewhere clean. No new job, no new city, no new anything to escape into. Because the thing he wanted to escape rode along inside him wherever he went. He nearly stopped going. He told Haruto he had snapped, braced for disappointment. Instead, Haruto walked him back to the old tree and put a finger again on that violent healed twist near its base. My great-grandfather's cut, he said. I did not remove it. I cannot. He is long dead, and his mistake is still in the wood. Then he moved his finger slowly up the trunk, past the scar, to everything above it. Decades of careful, patient growth, the finest part of the whole tree. Look what grew above it, he said. The cut is not the story. What you do after the cut, that is the story. You made a cut this week. Good. Now decide what grows from it. Daniel kept going. Not perfectly. Nobody does. But the ratio began to move. He practiced gaman at the kitchen table, at bedtime, in the 1,000 small moments a day, hands apparent to pass the charge down or hold it. The flinch on Leo's face appeared less, then rarely. One evening, Leo dropped a bowl, a real crash, the kind that used to guarantee the cold voice, and Daniel watched his son's whole body brace. Daniel knelt down, and it was fine. It was just a bowl. He watched Leo's shoulders come back down. That small release of a 5-year-old's shoulders is the actual sound of a curse losing a generation. It does not announce itself. It looks like nothing at all. There is a stretch in this work. Almost nobody survives, and it is not the dramatic part. It is the middle, where the old pattern is broken, but the new one is not yet automatic. Every calm response still costs effort. Nobody hands you a certificate for the sharp thing you did not say. Most people turn back here, mistaking the absence of reward for the absence of progress. Daniel crossed it, because for the first time he knew exactly what he was doing, and why. Repetition rewires a brain. Every time Daniel held the charge instead of discharging it, he laid down a little more of a new circuit, and the old one, unused, weakened. But the same plasticity that builds the new pattern dismantles it the moment you stop. Growth is not a place you arrive. It is a thing you keep doing. One afternoon, in the quiet, Daniel asked why he kept doing it. 50 years of the same trees, the same tiny cuts. Haruto was quiet a while. I will not see this tree at its most beautiful, he said. Neither did my father. Neither did his. Each of us keeps it for a while, and hands it on a little better than we received it. That is the entire art. There is no version where one person finishes it. He told Daniel about an old idea, Nanadai Saki. To make your decisions, as though 7 generations ahead of you stood in the room, watching. The warrior who finally ended one of those feuds did not do it for himself. He did it so a boy not yet born would open his hands one day and find a name in them instead of a sword, and Daniel understood the shape of it now. He might never fully undo what his father and grandfather grew into him. That cut is his, low in the trunk, permanent. But Leo will not inherit the cut. Leo will inherit the growth above it. And Leo's children, someday, will inherit a father who was raised by a father who learned to hold the charge and set it down gently. That is how a curse dies. Not in one heroic generation that fixes everything at once. In one person, and then the next, and then the next, each one refusing to hand it forward. It has been a little over 2 years since Daniel walked through that unmarked door. He did not become a different man. Let us be honest about that, because the curse loves it when you expect to be finished. The old voice still shows up. The charge still arrives, hot and fast, at the spilled cup and the broken bowl, and the loud moment on the tired day. What changed is the size of the gap between the charge and the response, and what Daniel does inside it. Not long ago he watched Leo, older now, get into it with another kid over something small, and go rigid with anger, that familiar family heat rising in a body half Daniel's size. And Leo stopped. He took a breath. He walked it off, and came back a minute later, steady. Nobody taught Leo that with a lecture. He watched it. For 2 years he watched the charge arrive in his father, and not turn into something cold, and he filed it away, the way children file everything. Now the thing copying itself down the line is the pause, and not the flinch. That is the whole of it. The scar stays. What grows above it is a decision, made again every single day, by one person, willing to feel the full weight of an old inherited thing, and refuse, one more time, to hand it to someone smaller. So here is the uncomfortable rule, plainly. A generational curse is not broken by defeating it. It is broken by one person willing to hold the entire weight of it and refuse to pass it to the next in line. The warriors called that enduring gaman. They called the inherited feud that had to end katakiuchi, the cycle that only dies when someone stops swinging. And they chose as though Nanadai Saki, 7 generations forward, were watching. Centuries later, the science says the same thing in colder words. What is transmitted can be interrupted. The interruption is uncomfortable, by design, and the discomfort, held once in front of a child, is the exact place the copy breaks. The rule, in one line, you do not get to pass it on, you have to hold it. Holding it is the whole price of being the one where it ends. So let me leave you with the only question that matters. What did you inherit that you are, right now, getting ready to hand to someone who trusts you completely? And what would it cost you, today, to hold it instead? The cut stays in the wood. What grows above it is up to you. Tend it well. That's our story. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. And tomorrow, more stories are waiting for you. Thanks for watching.